Hello, I'm Philip Stoten for EMSNow. I'm here at Apex 2013 in San Diego, California. And I'm joined by Eric Miscoll, Dale from Sanmina, and Sharon from IPC to talk about reshoring, something we're seeing a kind of a trend we're hearing a lot of talk about in the industry about, I think in some ways a correction of business coming back from Asia. Some of it perhaps shouldn't have gone there. But a kind of a correction in the global landscape, and that's what I wanted to talk about. Sharon, perhaps if I can start with you as head of market research. Are the other numbers, is the research bearing out what we're hearing?
Yes, there definitely is some evidence of companies that have reported actually bringing back some operations from overseas, mostly from China, but also some from Taiwan and Japan and even Europe. And I think a lot of it is driven by the realization that there's more to the cost of doing business overseas than just the labor cost, which is very often the thing that attracts attention to begin with. And what they're finding is that when you factor in customer responsiveness issues and intellectual property, quality control, which is a big driver, and other costs such as transportation and trade tariffs and so on. It can very often be a very close, close decision as to whether it's offshored or brought back, and ultimately I think it's the quality issues and the need to be responsive to customers that wins in the end.
And it's interesting, isn't it? I guess we tend to look at just that hourly labor rate, and that's kind of led us to this conclusion that it all has to go to Asia. Eric, it's like Sharon's teed it up for you. I mean, your part of your business is actually measuring and comparing those costs. But you were mentioning to me yesterday some anecdotal stuff about some stuff that is actually coming back from Asia, I think, into Central America.
Yeah. Well, let me start by saying I hate the term reshoring because I think it's meaningless. Because it's a political term. The trend is regionalisation. The trend is build in region for region, right? And that's happening not just here in North America, it's happening around the world. It's happening in Europe, it's happening in Asia. And that trend also means that a lot of stuff China will continue to thrive and boom, and a lot will continue to be made there because it belongs there. They're building in region to sell there, right? Everybody wants to sell in China. So that trend is absolutely happening over here, and the beneficiary in North America is Mexico, obviously, from an assembly perspective, which is the perspective I'm talking about. We use the analogy, if you're going to grow hay to feed cows, you're not going to do this in sub-Saharan Africa. You're going to do it next to where the cows are, right? Because because logistics and risk inherent in shipping this all over the place just messes up. It's just unjustifiable to do it that way. But absolutely, the labor rates certainly are driving people's thinking, but it's really getting back to a really good TCO analysis, total cost of ownership, outsourcing, however you want to name that, and all the elements inherent in that. But the trend is really regionalization, and it is definitely, stuff is coming back, but China it's not at the expense of China. It's like you said, stuff that probably shouldn't have been there in the first place.
Yeah, it's a correction. Dale, you're a global manufacturer, footprint all around the world, many facilities. To me, from a perspective of a company like Sanmina, it's about kind of smart outsourcing, smart location, figuring out where stuff needs to be made. And if you've got a global client that is asking you to direct fulfill in all these different regions, then you need to take an intelligent approach to where you manufacture that. Is that what you're hearing from customers?
Absolutely. I think right now what we're doing is I mean, from a manufacturing standpoint, what we're seeing out there in the marketplace is it's all market driven. Where are the market pockets? Where are you going to sell to? Where are you going to ship to? The guys that are making a lot of money are the transportation companies right now, because we're shipping it everywhere. So I think reshoring it, lack of a better term, but the reshoring opportunity is a good one for us here. But I mean, if you look at this show, the trade shows, all the equipment, it doesn't matter where you buy it, it's going to cost the same. So to your point, it's all about the same cost. The labor wages are balancing themselves out. shipping companies are. So I think all that said, it's rebalancing of where the markets are set. So I mean, from our standpoint, we're pretty excited about this. We're positioned real well, from a global standpoint, but also from a red, white, and blue standpoint, we're feeling pretty confident there too that this is a great back opportunity.
Yeah.
Bringing it back, to reshoring all over the world, not just in one central location. So I think from that standpoint, we're well poised. The not just Sanmina, but I think the U.S. is well poised to position themselves as well as the rest of the world. So.
Yeah. Okay. So if if we're getting smarter at it as the EMS guys, as the people manufacturing, are the OEMs following suit? Are the OEMs understanding that? Because I think the OEMs were they were kind of even almost duped into sending everything east because that's what Wall Street asked for. That's what the industrial press, the industrial media was suggesting was the solution, and it clearly wasn't a solution for everything. Have they smartened up?
Oh, absolutely. Again, back to the point of where is the market, and it's not just one location. Maybe that's where everybody pushed because it was thought to be more cost effective. When in actuality, it's the balancing of it really. I mean, it's more level set now, and I think shipping to North America, to Europe, to other locations, that in itself is becoming more. The manufacturing in those locations is becoming is kind of going back onto. I mean, it's not just the U.S. that's reshoring; it's actually throughout the world. I mean, to your point, where there's other logistics that are saying, okay, it's settling down a little bit. It's not growing, but it's not as fast as it was, I should say. It's still growing, but I think from just where the markets are, where the people are buying, that's where the products can be built, and so we see that. Yeah.
And Eric, from your point of view, if you look at how those levels change, obviously China's getting more expensive as it gets a growing middle class, as labour rates go up, but again that creates a domestic market, which is good news in itself. How do the more developed nations, the European nations, the North America, for example, become more competitive? Are they getting leaner? Are they getting smarter? Are they getting more automated?
We're talking about from the OEM's perspective?
From either OEMs or contract manufacturers. The manufacturers, how are they driving their costs or managing their costs whilst the other costs grow?
I read something here this week, as a matter of fact, talking about lean, and that North America really didn't. We're kind of behind the curve on that. The Asians fully adopted it and implemented it, and we were a little late to the party on that one, right? And whether that was arrogance, whatever drove that, I don't know. But so you see a lot of push now for really implementing a lot more lean, becoming more efficient. But the reality is, the answer to the question is automation, right? Ultimately, it's going to be automation. Automation it's not going to be this big wellspring of all kinds of jobs, but automation means that we're a lot more efficient now doing these things. Our efficiency over China is a recent study showed it almost at 10x. So I think, listen, the U.S. is a great market. It's a very viable market. It can provide solutions to a wealth of different industry sectors, right? To the question that you're asking here, are OEMs getting smarter? Absolutely. I think they've gotten away from this one guy in purchasing saying who's being rewarded for getting the lowest cost possible. They're realizing, okay, yeah, we got the lowest cost, but God, it became a nuisance, right? Or we had all these problems. There's a lot of those deals that go wrong too. There's a lot of failed cases in the industry that doesn't get a lot of press and a lot of coverage. And OEMs, fool me once, shame on me, or you, fool me twice. And so you see that. I think OEMs are absolutely getting smarter, and like I said, I think that's looking at the proper analysis now, looking at the TCO, looking at their own internal costs in support of that, and I think we really see a lot of changing in their thought processes.
Well, I'd like to just kind of jump on that a little bit. Is from the OEM standpoint, it's still about cost, right? It's still about what they're paying the dollar. So when they go out and they do their surveys for who's going to be their supplier in that respect, they look at the cost, they look at the price, and they say, okay, logistically, the total cost of ownership here, what is that going to be? At the same token, it's also about supply chain and efficiency. So where logistically are they going to be assembling that and marketing that and selling it? So they've gotten a lot better at that. At the same token, the rest of the world has gotten a lot more competitive. We used to kind of dig in our heels and say it's going to be at this cost or price for you. we've gotten a whole lot more competitive in terms of our efficiencies, our lean manufacturing, our supply chains internally. So we've gotten a lot smarter in terms of being the suppliers to the OEMs. OEMs have driven that. So I think the chain of events have been really good for the world actually in terms of. So I think it is kind of balancing out, it's settling out, and it's an exciting time.
Yeah, absolutely. Just to sorry, go ahead.
OEMs are actually leading the charge on this. According to the results of IPC's survey, it was primarily OEMs that have brought back most of the operations that were returned to North America in the last 4 years, and EMS companies as well. Anybody doing high-level assembly of any kind is a candidate for this. But all the industries reported some degree of onshoring or reshoring, if you will. But definitely the OEMs have the biggest share in that trend.
And it has to be pragmatic, doesn't it? Just to go back to the point on lean, I think you talked about the US being late to the party. The Germans were really early to that party, and within Europe they did really well out of it, because they've managed to maintain, I think, the strongest EMS sector in Europe as a result of that, and fought off the challenge perhaps of Eastern Europe as a result of really pushing those lean things through. So you can see that in the benchmarking. With respect to let's call it regionalisation, do you think then we can then take a smarter, more pragmatic approach to some of the new regions, like say Brazil, for example, or Argentina, where we're seeing some demand, we're seeing some manufacturing opportunities, some as a result of low-cost labour, some as a result of tariffs, for example, in Brazil. Do you think then we can say, okay, well, we can manufacture in Brazil for this, and it's not going to be this kind of lemmings rush again? What do you think, Dale?
I would have to agree. I don't think we're gonna rush into that. Maybe more methodically, and you see companies like Honhai and these guys. They're branching out and getting their feet wet into those regions. I don't think it's going to be a mass flood, but I think we have to explore those areas. I don't think we have to. I think we would be it wouldn't be the smartest thing if we didn't. So I think. It's going to get more regionally. There is a market share opening up there, so we're going to supply that market share. So yes, OEMs are going to supply. We're going to be there to supply the OEMs. It's going to happen.
And you have global accounts, and they're going to say, this is our market. This is where we are.
That's right.
You better come along.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you're using the Brazil and Argentina. You have that country requirement there, and I think while that's seen as very kind of restrictive, right? You can't build in Mexico and ship it down to Brazil, right? To fulfill the requirements there. Brazil is trying to, take care of their own, so to speak. In Argentina, you see developing that, and that may become more the norm moving forward too. It'll be an interesting trend to kind of watch if that is indeed happening. Kind of having that in-country requirement to have to do that, and then. Y'all are going to have to adjust to that too. What does that mean? Is there going to be smaller facilities within all these various regions to support a global customer? It'll be interesting.
You need to be able to move a customer around, I guess. NPI might be close to the customer themselves, but finally production needs to be closest to their customer, where their fulfillment's done.
And understanding exactly what those country requirements are and to what degree is it just, because listen, the supply base certainly isn't there, so, things are being shipped in, is it just assembly, what is it exactly? We have the same in this country, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, sorry. So we're going to be talking about South America later on today, so I'm looking forward to that. Thanks for stopping by today to chat about regionalisation, reshoring, whatever we're going to call it. Thank you very much for your time. Enjoy the rest of the show. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.